Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We will go on the record in the matter of Maynard versus Valentine. This is file number 111951 DP. The record will reflect that both parties are present. Mr. Conant is here on behalf of the plaintiff, Jerry Maynard, and Ms. Valentine is here. Ms. Dungan is the guardian ad litem. She's present. And we're scheduled for the continuation of the evidentiary hearing, and I think it goes back to the ex parte request that mother filed some time ago. Before we resume that, is there anything preliminary?
Well, I think we're also up for a review on this on the parenting time, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I think that's why Ms. Dungan is here as the GAL to report.
Okay. Ms. Dungan, do you have, before we go forward, do you have any update or recommendation that you wanted to place on the record?
Your Honor, I do, and it's fairly lengthy, and I didn't know, would it be appropriate to just swear me in and have Mr. Conant and yourself question me? Would that work or no?
Sure, I can swear you in and have you do that. I'll probably just let Mr. Conant ask you those questions. So raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. State your name, spell your last name for the record.
Shelley Dungan, Dungan.
Thank you. Mr. Conant, did you want to get started asking Ms. Dungan some questions?
I can certainly do that, Your Honor. Ms. Dungan, since we were last in court and being the court-appointed guardian ad litem, can you tell the court what, if anything, you've done to try to determine the minor child's well-being and best interests?
So I did speak with the principal at Hanover Horton Elementary School, and that would, I've got my notes right here. That would be Mr. Ayers, and I had quite a lengthy conversation with him about Carl James, and he had nothing but great things to say about Carl James. And when we got into the situation with the custody and parenting time, he as far as dad goes, he felt he's very passionate for his son, he's quite an advocate for his son. He would lay down everything for his son. These are quotes. So he said that he's, I know it's been alleged that Jerry, Mr. Maynard, has a temper sometimes. He says he's never seen him lash out at Carl ever. He knows there's some bitterness between the parties, but he just kept saying that Carl James is an amazing young man. If he keeps his course, it's really important that there's no limits for this child. And he just is an amazing student, an amazing athlete. He did indicate that mom's been a problem at times with filing the PPO a while back, and that was a big mess, and it limited Jerry coming to the school building, and it just, he basically, his opinion was that mom was more a source of the problem between the parties and when dealing with Carl James and his school issues. What we got was that dad at the school is the follow-through parent. He goes to parent-teacher conferences. He's always checking in about Carl James. So he had nothing but good things to say. There were concerns that mom has other kids in the district, but that she doesn't have contact with her other children. That caused me some concern. So he said Carl James is doing wonderfully. With regard to the teacher, I think, Judge, that you received a letter from Erin Beach. Who was his fourth grade teacher for Carl this past year. And she wrote a letter, and it was detailing dad's consistency with initialing assignments, getting things turned in, coming to the conferences, having a phone conference, and has just been involved in Carl's education this entire school year. I recognize that document. I think we talked about attendance before, and there was, I want to say 22 or 23 unexcused, the majority of which, I believe, all but a day and a half, were on mom's watch. Admittedly, After we came to court and we brought that to the attention, there haven't been absences since that I'm aware of, so that was better. However, I became aware that Carl's missing his baseball practices and baseball games. I believe it was 3 and 4 respectively. So that's a concern, feeling like, he's kind of letting his team down. He's a good athlete. I know we try not to enforce or, on someone else's time what another parent signed the other parent up for. However, this is a really important piece of his life and stability and normalcy. He's really been through the ringer about wanting to feel normal, wanting this to be over, wanting structure and stability is the theme I'm getting. I'm probably getting far afield here. So to answer Mr. Conant's question, so I've interviewed the principal, had talked to the teacher, had who else? Reviewed the records, reviewed the attendance records, and I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and I did a home visit out at Mr. Maynard's house and made contact with Carl James there, talked to Dad, talked to another child of his mother. There were a few people there. So I did a home visit. Unfortunately, I have talked to Mom, and I've got notes from my conversation with her, but it was a while ago, and I wanted to afford her the same opportunity that I did to Dad, which was I reached out to try to do a home visit after he had requested one, and I didn't get a response back. And I think I have no reason to believe the number that I have for her is wrong. It's the number I've had from the beginning. It wasn't disconnected. There wasn't, I left a voicemail. I was able to do that. So my problem is, and I guess that's what I've done since the past. I guess I won't get into my recommendations right at this second.
Okay.
Until I'm asked.
When you attempted to get a hold of Mom for a home visit, did you leave a phone message for her? How did you approach that?
I left a voicemail.
Okay. And did she ever respond?
No.
Okay. Have you made other attempts to talk to Mom in the past?
Yes.
And have you run into difficulty in accomplishing that or not?
Yes. I was only able to talk with her, I believe, the one time.
Okay. So difficulties in getting hold of Mom is apparently not a new situation for you.
No.
Okay. And do you have a recommendation based upon your acting as guardian ad litem for Carl James in regard to a parenting recommendation?
I do, and I would like to explain why at the same time. So it's been my experience that sometimes past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. People can change. However, what I'm hearing is when you put the pieces together, I've got, it's my understanding that Mom's there's 2 children of Mom's who live with their dad. She doesn't have a lot of contact. It's kind of hit or miss. And that was confirmed by the principal, that there wasn't a lot of contact there. That's a bit concerning to me. The daughter that is currently living with her, again, this is information that was given to me, has struggled with some mental health issues, has struggled with meth, is currently struggling with marijuana, had gotten pregnant, has a baby. So, and it's my understanding that Carl James is left with her a lot. I believe her name is Gabby, and when Mom's not home. And so I'm kind of I'm concerned about that. It was also confirmed with me with the teacher, with the principal, that Mom's follow through just isn't there. And that's concerning for me, just as a general personality of a person raising a child that it really needs a lot of follow through. He deserves that. He should be able to get to school and get to his sporting appointments. And I don't have any doubt in my mind that Dad wouldn't follow through with that. I am, however, concerned by Mom's pattern track record that this is going to continue to be a problem, because attendance has been a problem for the 3rd year in a row, and this has been by far the worst year. And he's got to be at school, so that's concerning. I could not verify this or not. I'm getting some accusations that mom may have, a drinking type lifestyle. She's may have a boyfriend, and it's just kind of like that might be more of a priority. He loves his mom, and I don't mean to bash his mother. I'm just looking at the concerns I have are the stability factor, the follow through factor. You have to understand that Mr. Maynard's house is the house that this child has lived in his entire life. And he's got all sorts of friends in the neighborhood. The activities, this is another thing, the activities that dad has done are all centered around this child and what his kids want to do, movies and out to eat and camping and canoe trips. And, I'm not saying you have to entertain your kids all the time, but his life seems to revolve more around just raising him. And that seems to be his priority. He's been very concerned about we even almost had a truancy complaint. It came out of Hillsdale and they realized that's the wrong county. So then it kind of sounds like it never got followed through with Jackson County. I think we mentioned that at the last hearing. So it's, again, Carl James loves his mom very much. I think that she loves him very much. I think, though, that in the interest of having more stability, I really think we need to put it in place. Maybe procedurally we're not there, but I feel like he should be with dad during the school week for sure. Let dad do the school piece. With the feedback I'm getting from the school, he's the follow through, go to stable person for that. And I think that with a child that has this much potential, we shouldn't screw around with it. So the other thing, so I guess I would recommend that. I would recommend, I think that he shouldn't, whether these allegations are true or not, that marijuana shouldn't be smoked around him. It should be outside. There's another baby in the house as well. I don't think that's a good example for him to have. But I think we need some more hands-on parenting from mom. We talked about counseling last time. I think we need to give him a break. I usually am a huge proponent for counseling. However, this child I think he just needs people out of his life for a minute. And I want to feel normal. I want to feel normal. He wants everybody out, and I can respect that. He's a smart kid. And what I had discussed with dad was dad put in place, this is another follow through thing that he did for his son, was he talked to the school and then we set up a school counselor, but he made it so it was really like informal, nonchalant. Hey, come on down to the office. Let's just check in. And, and Carl James was more receptive to that. So I think that the school seems to be really aware of him. And I think that if he did need more counseling than they could provide, they would tell dad that and mom. But I think that dad would follow through on that immediately. So I'm going to back off a little on the counseling and let's see what the school can do. And just the fact that this will be over and that there'll be more structure. This isn't hanging over everybody's head. There's a set schedule. That doesn't mean, it means mom can have as much time during the week if she wants, have some evenings, that's fine. But just that he knows where he's laying his head. The homework, we're going to make sure gets done. We're making sure he gets to school every day. And I think if we do this, I'm hoping things will settle down for everybody, but especially Carl James. I hope I've answered everything.
I think you have, and I assume with the sports that was an important emphasis too, because I think that's important to Carl James. You want to make sure that he does get to his practices and games because he feels like he's letting the team down if a parent doesn't get him to those things. Is that right?
Yes, and I think it's really important for his mental health, though. I think that he can you can tell it's affecting him and he's kind of down about all of this stuff. And I think that's a really great, healthy outlet for him. And I think it really needs to be maintained. You hate to have stuff interfere with another person's parenting time. And I wouldn't normally say that, but I think this isn't excessive. He usually picks a couple sports but he just wants follow through. And I don't think this is designed to interfere with mom's parenting time or anything. I don't get any of that at all. Like, I'm keeping him so busy that you're not going to have any meaningful time. That we don't have that here. I think it's just so important, though, that he be able to do this for his own mental health.
I don't have any further questions of Ms. Dungan, Your Honor.
Ms. Valentine, do you have any questions for Ms. Dungan?
I was just curious where she got her information as regards to my daughter, Gabrielle.
From Mr. Maynard.
Exactly. And also, are you aware of the fact that since Carl James has been playing baseball, he has not missed a game or a practice on my time?
That's not consistent with the information that I got.
Well, that is the information. While Jerry was in jail, I made sure that during Jerry's parenting time that I took our son to his game in practice.
Paul, wasn't he being played then?
Oh, hold on, go ahead and ask questions. You will have a chance to testify yourself, Ms. Valentine, but if you have any other questions, you can ask them.
Okay. And as far as schooling goes, that was all information from just the principal and the teacher, nothing from Mr. Maynard, is that correct?
A combination of all three, but I confirmed things with the school that were told to me. Does that make sense? I said that kind of backwards.
So it's he said, she said. There's nothing concrete.
Oh no, I
that
don't
all
look
these
at
absences were. There's nothing that's saying all these absences were when he was with me. You don't have proof of that, correct?
It was on your scheduled time.
Do you have proof of that?
Based on the schedule you have, I did. I looked at it.
Okay, that's what I thought. I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, any follow-up questions, Mr. Conant?
No, Your Honor, no.
Okay. So if I'm to understand your recommendation, Ms. Dungan, you are recommending that Carl at least reside with his father during the school week, with mom having probably, it sounds like, some weekly visitation with him and potentially frequently during the week. Did you have some sort of idea in mind as to how many weekly visits would be appropriate if he's staying with dad during the school week?
Well, I think at least 2 could be accommodated, if not 3. I would have liked to talk these things through with mom. That's where I'm kind of lacking information, but I think I'm not getting there's necessarily safety issues or anything, and he loves his mom, and so I don't know that I feel like there should be a limit on it if they can work it out, as long as it's not interfering with schoolwork. I know 5th grade gets pretty tough with a lot of work, so if mom can follow through with that, and that might be good time for them. Yeah, I don't really see necessary.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So during your investigation, did you at any point, do you feel concerned that some kind of some kind of progression towards Carl Jr. spending the weeks with his dad and then other times with mom, did you become concerned at all that it would somehow interrupt an established custodial environment with mom?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but your other concerns outweigh that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then did you have some idea of what you would recommend for summertime visitation?
I don't necessarily have a problem with week on, week off. If that should be working just fine, I think.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions for you. Mr. Conant, any other follow-up with her?
Yeah, just a couple. So you are concerned that the child makes it to his athletic events even in the summer?
Yes.
And the homework, do you know if that's been a problem, making sure that gets completed by mom?
What I do know is what I do know is that all I'm hearing is that dad's following through, dad's getting stuff initialed, dad's getting it in.
Okay.
So Yeah, I can't really testify to mom's efforts one way or the other.
Very good. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else for Ms. Duncan, Ms. Valentine?
No, but I do want to say a few things.
Oh, no, naturally. And I think actually where we left off in the evidentiary hearing, I'm not certain that you had finished your presentation. I think you had Mr. Navarre at that point in time. So I do think, because I think Mr. Maynard was testifying where we left off, but it looks as though maybe Mr. Navarre had called Mr. Maynard as a witness. Is that your recollection also, Mr. Conant, that we were still in the plaintiff's presentation?
I think we were, yeah.
Okay. So Ms. Valentine, since we're continuing where we left off, you would have the opportunity to continue your presentation. So did you want to testify then?
Yes,
Okay, raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. State your name and spell your last name for the record.
Natalie Valentine, Valentine.
Thank you, Ms. Valentine. I'm going to allow you just to testify and say what you would like to say, but just caution you that if Mr. Conant makes an objection to just stop testifying and let the court rule on the objection before you start again, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so you can go ahead and say what you'd like to say.
Okay. Well, I just want to say that no point in time do I never have a concern about my son's schooling. It is not as easy as some people think when you're trying to co-parent in different homes. Certain letters get sent home to certain parents and the other parent receives nothing. So as far as conferences, yes, I've gotten emails from his teacher. I have responded. Absences wise, a lot of those happened during the COVID situation when he was doing virtual schooling. And I was doing virtual. His father was sending him face to face. I knew nothing of it. I tried getting a hold of Jerry several times. No response from him. He still has not downloaded Talking Parents app. Just recently, when school was let out, a week before school ended, I dropped our son off, Carl James, at school on regular time and told him I'd see him in a week. Well, I didn't see him for over 2 weeks later, and nobody in the Maynard household would answer a phone call or a text message. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know that he was going to keep him because there was summer break. No discussion about it whatsoever. Jerry's been locked up since the last time we had our last hearing, and I was not informed of that at the time it happened either. I found out later on during the week when it was Jerry's time, I found out that Jerry was locked up. So therefore I took over Carl James making sure he got to his baseball game and practice. I am concerned for my son. I do put effort into his schooling. If I knew there was a conference, I would have been there. I am active in his sports activities. I do not have a drinking problem. My daughter does not do drugs. She does have a son and she does live with me, and we are all good and happy and healthy. And so my concern is nobody seems to be concerned about the fact that what Carl James wants. I know Shelly has talked to him a couple times, and he has expressed to her what he wants and how things are when he's at his dad's. And for some reason, it is not a concern of anybody's but mine and Carl James. That's a big concern because we know how his dad is. He does have a temper. His record reflects all of that. So that is a big concern, and I'm not sure why that's not a concern for anybody else. I get the schooling. As you can see, he hasn't had any absences since the last time we had a review, since we came together. And that's basically how it was during the COVID season too, except that he was doing virtual and they were marking him as absent because it was just miscommunication. And then to bring up a PPO that was put in place with the principal and the schooling, that was a misunderstanding. And I believe that was 2 years ago. So it's interesting to bring it up now, but if that's something that you want to hold against me, that's fine. But that's all I wanted to say, Your Honor. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any questions for Ms. Valentine, Mr. Conant?
I do. Ms. Allen, is it true that you have 3 drunk driving convictions?
Yes, I do, from a long time ago.
Okay. And isn't it true that you're still continuing to drink?
No, it's not.
Okay, and you talked about your daughter Gabby. Is it not true that she had a child out of wedlock?
Yes.
And isn't it not true that she's spent time in a mental health institution in Grand Rapids?
No, she hasn't.
Okay. And is it not true that she smokes marijuana in the presence of the minor child and her baby?
Absolutely not. But Jerry Maynard does.
And is it not true that you leave the Carl James with Gabby for extended periods of time?
No, I did when I went to Florida, and that was it. Because he had school, he couldn't go.
And is it not true that all but a day and a half of his absences over the last year have been on your watch?
That's not true.
Okay. You got a copy of the records that I supplied the court, did you not?
I did not.
You should have.
Well, I didn't, and I'd like to know who sat down and figured this out on a calendar, because there were several weeks where Carl James wasn't even given to me.
Well, the school.
So, there's really no way to prove that. There's really no way to prove that. The school doesn't know either who has them when they have them. So.
Well, the school's the one that supplied the absentee records.
That's fine, but they don't know who had them when.
Okay. All right. Well, and you have a regular relationship with a boyfriend that keeps you out of the home from time to time. Is that right?
Keeps me out of my home.
You're not home.
What is that?
You're not home. You're gone.
That doesn't mean my son's not with me.
You don't know why your son would indicate that he spends a lot of time with Gabby.
No, he doesn't spend a lot of time with Gabby. I don't think he ever said that.
Do you know who Carl James school teacher is for this past year?
Yes.
Who is it?
Mrs. Beach.
When's the last time you talked with Mrs. Beach?
Oh, probably a few months ago.
Have you gone to any parent-teacher conferences?
Well, during the COVID season, there weren't any. There were emails.
Okay.
And the last one I knew nothing of.
Okay. And why is it you didn't know about a parent-teacher conference?
Because the letter wasn't sent home to me. His father received the letter.
Do you have access to communicate with the school on your own?
I'm sorry?
Do you have access to communicate with the school on your own?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you can telephone them, you can email them, you can do all those.
Yes, and they let us know to get a hold of them if we have concerns about his education, how he's doing, his grades, that sort of thing. Well, he's getting good grades, so why would I have a concern?
Well, do you know that he's hasn't been keeping up with his homework, and his father's had to work with him on the homework to get it caught up?
We both have. Okay, so you can put that on me if you want to, but it's been a problem for both of us struggling to get the work done that's been sent home. Both of us.
Okay.
I have picked up packets from the school that were supposed to be done on Jerry's time and did them with Carl James during my time. So it goes both ways.
When was the last time you worked on any homework with Carl James?
The last time it was sent home.
And when was that?
When was that? The last Wednesday that I had him during school.
Do you think it would be good if Carl James stayed with Dad during the school week so that he got to school every week?
Absolutely not. I take him to school too.
Okay.
Absolutely not. His dad works. Who's going to take him to, he gets up by himself. Carl James gets up by himself in the morning because Jerry and his mom leave for work. So Carl James gets up by himself in the morning and puts himself on the bus.
Do you know
that sounds better to you?
Do you know
I
why?
don't think so.
Do you know why getting him to school on your watch has been so difficult, ma'am?
It hasn't been difficult. I don't know what you're referring to.
So apparently the principal and the school teacher are completely at a loss to explain this, except that Mr. Maynard seems to be the better at taking care of his school concerns. Is that right?
Yeah, ever since Mr. Maynard got sober, he has showed more interest in Carl James. That's great. I'm glad because it's been a long time coming. And, and like I said, I always give my son to school because there was a mix up during the COVID situation. You know, that's why the whole thing with Hillsdale County truancy, it was thrown out of court.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So
Well, that probably was thrown out of court because it wasn't the right county, I suspect.
no, that's not what they said. No.
Okay. Do you still have an intercept device on your vehicle?
No, I do not.
Do you have a valid driver's license now?
Yes, I do. What does that have to do with anything?
Do you know if your son has missed his practices and games on your watch?
He has not missed any on my watch.
Do you know when his games are scheduled?
Yes, I do.
When are they scheduled?
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And where does he play at?
Well, they play in Hanover, but they also play in other towns as well.
What hours are you working?
5:30 to 2.
5:30, is that AM or PM?
a.m.
5:30 AM till 2 PM?
Yes, I just started working.
Okay. Were you off work for a while?
I was
And how long were you off work?
a year
And where are you
since
working at
COVID. I'm back at the diner where I was previously.
So, when did you just start back to work?
Just a few days ago.
Okay, so up until a couple of days ago, there wouldn't be any reason why you couldn't have gotten him to school on your watch and to his games and practices. Is that right?
Correct, which I did get him there every day.
I have no further questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Anything else, Ms. Valentine?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Any other presentation?
I would just briefly
Presentation.
recall Jerry Maynard for a couple of questions, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Maynard, raise your right hand to be sworn, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
No.
Okay, state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Jerry Maynard, Maynard.
Thank you, Mr. Maynard. Go ahead, Mr. Conant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Maynard, the absences that accumulated over this past school year for Carl James, did they happen on your watch? Did you hear me, Jerry?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. The absences that happened during the academic year of 2020-21 for Carl James, did they happen on your watch?
No, they did not.
Did any absences happen on your watch?
I think I had one full day and 2 half days, which I've always called the school on the half days to make sure he wasn't missing anything, which they always told me he wasn't. Half days are usually outside playing games or pep assemblies.
Do you know how many total absences he had during the 2020-21 school year?
I believe it was 25 total.
So you're saying the other 23 days were on Ms. on Mom's watch, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we've dealt with this problem, her inability to get the child to school, have we not, in the past?
For 3 years now. The first year when it was started, it was like half year she was doing this crap. It was 14 days. Last year it was 14 days and they quit school early, shut down school. And this year it was 25, I believe, was the total. And it has been proven by the school. The school knows the routine. They know the it's a week on, week off. They know who has him and who doesn't have him. So they know, and it has been set down and went over with the calendar and proven that they are on her time.
Have there been parent-teacher conferences during this past year?
Yes, they have, and they were emailed out. She gets emails just as well as I do, and you can email the teacher or the school and find out any information you want to with the school.
Have you made it to all parent-teacher conferences?
For the last 3 years, I have.
Have you seen Carl James' mother at any of these parent-teacher conferences?
Nope.
Tell me about the homework situation with Carl James. Has that been a problem?
Not for me, it hasn't. I've always had them when they only was missing one day during the week, and that was a Wednesday they did for cleanup, and they always sent his schoolwork home, sat down and went over it, and I've always initialed it, and dated it, and sent it back to make sure that it was documented.
Do you know if getting the homework done on Natalie Valentine's days were problematic?
There were a lot of missing assignments that I had the teacher send me home in packets that we got done.
So you had to make up for the homework assignments on her watch, is that right?
Several of them.
Tell me about his grades.
Well, thank God he loves school. He wants to be in school and he's good at school, because I don't think if it wasn't for me and him and the effort that he puts forth, that he wouldn't have passed.
And why is that, Mr. Maynard?
Are you kidding me?
Just because apparently education is not an important thing for her, because it has been
Objection,
proven.
objection, no.
Okay,
I'm not gonna have Jerry Maynard bash me. No, thank you.
I understand that that's his opinion, Ms. Valentine.
Yes,
What's been proven in school, the school knows the who has him and who doesn't have him. It's been proven by the school who has shown the initiative to make sure he gets to school and does his schoolwork. And so it has proven, and it's not just an accusation.
Tell me about his sporting events.
He loves to be at them, and he wants to be at them. He does whatever he wants to do. He's not spoiled by no means, but if he wants to play baseball, football, basketball, that's what he gets to do. He's very good at it. He's pretty much the star of the team, and when he's not there, he's not just letting himself down. He's letting the whole team down. He's the best player usually in everything he does, and he excels at it, and that's what he wants to do. So I think he needs to be there, and I know he wants to be there.
Has he missed any practices or any games on your watch?
No, he has not.
Has he missed any practices or games
yes,
on
he has.
Mom's watch?
Hold on, you're gonna get a chance to cross-examine Mr. Maynard, Ms. Valentine, so just don't shout out your objections to what he's saying.
Okay.
Jerry, go ahead. Has he missed any practices or games on Miss Valentine's watch?
Yes, he has. And the jail time stuff that she's talking about, yeah, I was in jail because of her, for one thing. And another, there wasn't even baseball going on yet.
So he didn't miss any practices while you were in jail for a week or 10 days or whatever it was. Is that right?
Nope, it was only a week.
Okay.
And it was on my time.
Okay. And do you know how many games and how many practices he missed while with Ms. Maynard?
I'm pretty sure it was 3 games and 4 practices, I believe.
What?
How does Carl James take it when he misses games and practices?
I don't think he likes it very well. He likes to play, and he's, like I said, he's good at it, and he wants to be there.
The recommendation from the guardian ad litem is that Carl James would be at your home overnight during the school week. Are you in agreement with that recommendation?
Very much so. And he does not get up by himself. He is not here by himself. For one thing, when he is here, my daughter is here, which is 13 years old. She goes and gets up and does her thing. Plus, I have a lifelong friend that comes over and sits with him until he gets on the bus. So he's not sitting here by himself and doing everything by himself, even though he is a very good kid and I don't have to fight with him. I don't have to argue with him. He gets up on his own. He gets himself dressed. He gets himself breakfast when he wants to eat in the morning. And he does walk out and he gets on the bus because he wants to be in school. And I couldn't ask for a better boy, I mean, 80% of the kids don't want to be in school. He wants to be there. He enjoys school. He gets to be a kid when he's here. He's got 3 different houses he can ride to his bike to within a mile of the house. The parents, I'm in touch with them all the time. They love having him there. He gets to be a kid when he's here.
The recommendation called for week on, week off during the summer, provided that the minor child gets to his athletic events. Are you in agreement with that?
Yep, as long as the holidays stay the same.
Really? Hilarious.
And I gather the guardian ad litem did come to your home. Is that right, Jerry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You believe that Carl James loves his mom?
Oh, yeah. And he loves his mom, but he doesn't love spending time where she wants to spend time and running the roads, what she wants to do. He wants to spend time with his mom, not everybody else.
Okay. This Gabby, who's Gabby?
It's Natalie's oldest daughter.
Okay, and she lives with Miss Valentine.
Yeah, when she got old enough and could move out of her dad's house because she didn't want to abide by his rules, and then she ended up there, and she was in Grand Rapids for 30 days for a suicidal watch. She has been strung out on meth. Natalie even asked me to talk to her about it. And she does smoke pot every day, all day long, and it is around my kid and her kid.
You don't appreciate that?
No, it's not done around here. I do not smoke pot. I'll go take a drug test right now. Would you take a drug test? Because I will pay for it.
Okay, so
I don't want you guys to talk to each other.
has Miss Valentine discussed the fact that her daughter smokes marijuana constantly?
Oh yeah, that's a concern of hers, just like the meth was. That's why she asked me to talk to her for.
Well, you heard her deny that her daughter smokes marijuana.
Yep, she denies a lot of things.
Okay, and smoking marijuana is apparently not illegal, but you don't want it smoked around your son. Is that a fair
Nope.
statement?
That's not smoked around him. Nobody drinks. Nobody in my family does any kind of drugs or does any kind of drinking. And he is not acceptable to any of that anywhere at any time.
I have no further questions of Mr. Maynard.
Thank you, Ms. Valentine. You may cross-examine Mr. Maynard if you'd like to at this point in time. Just make sure it's not argument or testifying on your own, but that you're actually asking him questions, okay?
Okay, Your Honor. So, Jerry, when was this that Carl James allegedly missed practice and games on my time?
I would have to say he made it to his last 2 games, so it was almost a month ago. There was a whole stretch there when, on your time, when you had him for your week.
And did you attend those games? Did you attempt to attend those games?
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing when you go to a game and your son's not there.
Okay, well, he hasn't missed one on my time, but so, and then who took him to his games while you were locked up for stalking?
I wasn't locked up for stalking. I was locked up for
Who took him
disturbing
to those
peace.
games then?
There wasn't
That's
even
what they
baseball
reduced it to.
going. There was no baseball going on at that time when I was, and it was on my week that I was in jail.
Right, it was your week, and so you're saying there were no, I didn't take him to his game in Hanover that week?
No, his mother did, or my mother did, his grandmother.
Oh, okay. And so, and where did you get your information that Gabby was locked up for 30 days somewhere in Grand Rapids?
That came straight from you.
That's incorrect. And so you've seen my daughter Gabby smoke pot in front of Carl James's face all day long? Is that what you're saying?
Not saying that she smokes it all day long in front of his face, but she smokes
what you
pot
just
all
said.
day long.
You just said she smokes it all day in front of him.
I never said in front of him. I said she smokes pot all
Mhm.
day long, every day. And she does smoke in front of him and her kids. Carl James has told me that himself.
Oh, okay, but you've never seen it.
Huh, yeah, I have seen it.
Okay.
Sitting in your apartment.
And before you got sober, did you smoke pot every day, all day long?
Yes, I did.
And
For
you and
many
your
years.
friends, you and your friends would do it right in front of Carl James and drink and get drunk and get high right in front of him. Is that correct?
No, it is not correct.
Okay. So now that you haven't had a drink or anything like that, anybody that does any activity like that is a terrible person. Is that right?
I'm not saying anything against anybody. You can do whatever they want, but they don't need to be doing it around kids. And I am very proud of my soberness. How about you?
Yeah, that's good. So basically what you're saying is you have no proof on your allegations.
Oh, I have proof. Have her take a drug test, or you take a piss test to see the last time you drank.
Okay, that would be fine, but you don't need to word it like that. But anyway, and baseball's over. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Conant, any other questions for your client?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Maynard, I apologize. When you were testifying, I must have been taking a note. When Mr. Conant asked you about the parenting time schedule, what was your answer when he asked you about what you think the parenting time schedule should be? I heard something about holidays staying the same, but I don't think I heard the first part.
Well, the way I look at it, it's been proven for 3 years now, and black and white on my part. There's been so many, there's a stack of complaints there on parenting time where I've gotten in trouble, where I've had to call the cops to get my son back, and then I get in trouble for being there. There's very instance why I was in jail. And this has been going on for 3 years. I don't know what more proof the court has to see. There's been 3 teachers, the last 3 teachers in that
Oh, no,
school.
I was just wondering, I couldn't tell if you said you were okay with the week on, week off, or you wanted what Ms. Dungan was recommending.
Week on and week off during the summer is fine with me. During the school year, I want sole custody, and she can have him every other day during the week, as long as he's back here at a reasonable time.
Okay. All right. That was my question, Mr. Maynard. I apologize if I wasn't more clear. Any other questions based on that, Mr. Conant?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other questions for him, Ms. Valentine?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Any addition? So what I'm going to do, since we have spread this out for so long, I do want to go back and I've gone over my notes from the last few hearings, but I haven't gone back and actually listened to the testimony. I do have the exhibits. I'm in receipt, and I promise I won't keep you waiting much longer, but I want to go back over all of those things so I can make sure that I'm making the most informed decision. And I think I will. It's been a while since I interviewed Carl James, so I wouldn't mind meeting with him again to have him express a preference. And then I will either schedule something for you guys to come back and I'll just give you an oral opinion over Zoom with my opinion, or I'll do something in writing. But again, I'll try not to keep you waiting much longer because I know this has been dragged on for quite some time and you're both anxious to have some resolution. So I presume that Carl Jr. does not have any commitments this summer. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. And now that people can come into the courthouse, I can set a time. That way, if both of you want to be here with him and be here together, so there isn't any suggestion that one or the other of you has been able to influence him in some way, you can certainly bring him in together or send him in with a third party to be interviewed. But beginning Monday, there are no restrictions left at the court building. You will be able to come and go freely for court appearances. So let me just take a peek at my calendar.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Sure, if it's okay with Mr. Conant, you can.
Sure, that's
I'm
fine.
just, I'm just kind of wondering, you're saying you need to talk to him again. You've talked to him a couple times. Like I said, this has been going on for 3 years. Shelley has talked to him, sat down and talked to him a couple different times. The boy doesn't want to be bothered with people asking him questions about where he wants to be, where he wants to go, and all this other stuff. He wants a normal
I
life.
understand. I understand.
You know,
This will be the last time.
Shelley has talked to him several times. It's not per se what he wants, it's what's best for him. And this
I do understand the standard, Mr. I do understand the standard of law. I would just like to update my file or my recollection, Mr. Maynard. It will, if it helps for you to assure him that people are going to leave him alone going forward, I am going to let him stop counseling. So you can let him know that's going to happen. He just has to come and talk to me one more time. And I understand that his preference is not valued over any other factor in the child custody factors. So I'll be able to do a let me schedule the ruling, the oral ruling on the court's decision. I was about to give you a date, but I'm worried that it was a day that I have a meeting. So I just want to look really quick to make sure I'm not over scheduling myself. So it's going to have to be July 22nd at 2 p.m. I'll go ahead and give my ruling. And I apologize. I know that's a few more weeks, but I do have a vacation coming up. And then I can meet with Carl James just earlier that week. Is there a day of the week that's better for either of you, Ms. Valentine or Mr. Maynard?
Sometime after 3 o'clock, Your Honor.
Okay. Does that work for you too, Mr. Maynard, a little bit later in the day?
Whatever you got to do, Your Honor.
Okay. How about July 21st, so the day before? July 21st at, let's say, 4 o'clock. How does that sound?
That works.
Okay. So I'll meet with Carl James that day, and then I'll give my ruling on July 22nd at 2 o'clock.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you for your presentations.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Ms. Duncan. Thank you, Mr. Conant.